Alrighty guys, welcome back, and remember Karont3 has thrown out another Zerg player to play against Tails in the very far top right corner. He is going to be your green Zerg. His name is LOL versus XG. Okay, then also on the bottom left corner, from MVP, Tails. Been around for a while. We casted him a ton of playhams. I can't remember the farthest he's actually gotten into GSL. I want to say he's made it into a Code A, but he hasn't made Code S debut or anything quite yet. But still,
an exceptional player.
A very exceptional player. A good roster to have for MVP. I know they use him a lot in the GSTL, and apparently they're using him in the IPTL as well. I mean, he's strong. He makes decisive decisions. Doesn't think about them, just does them. He doesn't care if he loses or doesn't win. He just makes sure that he does it the way he wants to do it.
Yep. I mean, he's one of these players, I guess you can compare him in some respects to a Protoss-like creator. Definitely different playstyles in regards to upgrades and such. He's much more aggressive, but he does whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He's like a honey badger, we'll say. But really, Tails, guys, I mean, he can just lay it on when it comes to aggression. And this would be a very interesting map to see such a strategy employed because it's so large, and your opponent may very well not expect it.
So we got an early pull here from LOL versus XD. I believe that was a 12 pull, if I remember correctly. And this is designed just to A, go into the natural, and depending on what he sees, he can A, either snipe a pylon there and power some things, or of course if there's a Nexus first, which we saw Tails from last game, do a lot of damage to that as well. And I think you can actually force a cancel twice on it before you can really do too much of a follow-up. And also allows you to go into an 18 hatchery very quickly. I mean, you won't be getting speed or anything. It's actually going to go for the 15 hatchery here, so it's kind of economical, and it allows you to put a little bit of pressure on. It kind of cuts into your drone count a little bit, can say to a 15 pull or a 15 hatchery, but it gets the job done. And it looks like we're going to be having, what was it, Nexus first?
No, this is a cute build. You know, you mentioned the 1918 hatchery. This is really common with the what people call the overpull, and it's actually a strategy we see. We saw Stefano use versus Tails. We see him use on a fairly regular basis versus Protoss. Here, LOL versus XD, going for that slightly later pull, and it just, you know, your lings get out a little bit slower, but it's a little more economical than your overpull. So the only disadvantage to this is the lateness of your queen. But he will be able to get that nice and early expansion and maybe work his way towards a third rapidly as well.
Well, lanes are on the way, and they're actually going to go ahead and circumvent the whole entire probe on the Zelnaga there. And there's actually something in the top left corner going for a bit of a look-see here. He actually just pops in, looks for anything that might be a little bit fishy, but he's going to miss the lings, actually. The lings are actually still coming. They should be a little bit behind. Oh, they actually went straight through the middle of the map here, heading straight to the natural, but it's going to be walled off right away. He should be able to focus it down with 3 probes, or for 3 Zerglings if he wants to, but he actually just go ahead and retreats.
Yep, cannon finishing up just in time there for Tails. And he's going to be able to now send this probe, which I believe has gone undetected. Looks like it was picked up on, though, by the Zerglings at the Zelnaga Tower, and LOL versus XD will now be scanning the premises trying to find this guy.
Yep, well, probe will get straight in the natural, and we'll be able to make it in the main and check out what's going on. There is a queen about to pop out. I want to see if that's actually in the main. Yeah, it's being made in the main there. So this probe actually just wants to go and check and see if there's a third. Now notice this third is actually really late compared to the first game where we had a third at 350 from Vortex. This one's at about 450. And that's kind of another side effect to going for that earlier pull onto a hatchery. You just kind of slow down everything about 20-30 seconds, and it compounds the earlier the pull that is. So something to note, but third does go down, and it looks like from here, Tails will be able to fall into any tech route that he wants to.
Yep, he's got a lot of options. He knows he's going to be a little bit ahead, so we could see him either decide to employ some severe greed with this and go for a very fast third base. I mean, he could even take a third before he really gets a robo. There'd be a lot of risk associated with that, but Daybreak is a pretty good map to just throw down 3 or 4 gateways and a cannon, and you've got a pretty nice wall off. Behind it, you can go for that robo, force out some immortals, and you've got a nice quick third base. But remember, Protoss is actually the race that benefits the least from having extremely fast thirds.
Very true. Also another build as well. Unfortunately, he can't do it in this scenario, but we've actually been seeing a lot of 1 gateway into a third expansion, just for the mere fact that we see Zerg being so greedy and going really macro hatch based. But that's just ZVP in general. This isn't for this match whatsoever. We do have the 3 gateways now following up, 4 gateways actually. So looks like we're gonna have a total of 6 on the map here with the 5th
7, 8. Let's keep counting, Tim. This is going to be an extreme investment out of Tails. The second you see 4 gateways, folks, you know something is awry, because you just if there's not really a reason to drop so many gateways, you can't. If you do drop that many, you're not going to be able to produce that out of any follow-up tech structures that you might make. So if you make 4 gateways in a robo, you actually won't be able to make immortals. Your 4 gateways are going to take up too much money. And this is why we see so many players dropping 3 and not those 4. In this situation, Well, there's 6, and then there's a 7th one on the low ground. We've got ourselves a 7 gate.
Yep, Tails being typical Tails here, dropping down the builds that he enjoys doing, going for very 2-base aggressive attack. Thing is, it looks like Alex versus XD. Yeah, he's caught this. He's got 24 lings already on the way. Starts to layer up afterwards. It can follow up in the tech if he would like to. Needs to snipe the probe. He does snipe it, and now he's going to go ahead and force down this pylon. If this pylon does go down, it's going to be the end of this push for Tails, but Tails with the Zealot and 2 sentries getting here is going to slow that down. Oh my gosh, so many lings.
Needs to protect it. He needs to protect the pylon. He's going to protect the sentries very nicely indeed. The sentries being here is going to protect the pylon. Here's the warp-ins for Tails, and LOL versus XD is in for a world of hurt. Robin, he just made 7 drones. He's so dead right now.
Yeah, that is really painful here. We're about to have another warp in about 9 seconds here. And at that point, he'll be able to get some more units going. The sentry's moving forward with the Zealots as well. And notice a wall-off is at the natural, so no counterattack is available. We also had LL versus XD actually slow down speed at the same time. Speed just now finishing up, but there are so many units here now, and suddenly Tails is just going to be walking to the third, and he can potentially kill it off.
Yeah, this is going to be extremely difficult for LOL versus XD to manage to hold. Speed is about to complete. There's mostly Stalkers, but that's actually going to be it. Tails taking his 2nd win.
That's just straight up GG from LL versus XD. Unfortunately, like you mentioned, as soon as he made the 7 drones there, right afterwards, he was kind of destroyed there. He thought he was going to have the pylon. He had enough lings. He just needed to focus it down, but the force fields are perfect from Tails there. He had one kept the sentries alive, so A, they couldn't be focused down and no force fields can come in the future. And 2, he also places Zealot on the right side of that pylon. So that's essentially 3 Zerglings not getting on the pylon to do extra damage. It was just perfect positioning by him and a great way to secure his pylon, which at that point secured the win.
Those actually, you can't emphasize that enough. Those force fields were perfect.
Doom.
Because they protected as much as the pylon as you could possibly hope to.
No surround, it wasn't available.
And they trapped the sentries kind of in a little triangle between pylon, force field, and force field. Great stuff.
Just like that, Tails showing how it is. So with Tails currently on a 2-0 streak here for
he is,
MVP.
Man.
And actually, we had the scoreboard wrong. But nonetheless, we'll go ahead and get that fixed up in a second here. Who is our next player?
It looks like they're going to be bringing out Crass.
Crass.
We're going to have a Terran player trying to face off here against Tails. We'll see if he can finally do what 2 Zergs from Karont3 so far have been unable to do. Wow. Man, Vortex and LOL versus XD going down to Tails. This is definitely a rough start for Karont3.
Yeah, very quickly here. They're just kind of underestimating him, and it's not something you can do against Tails. It's just his element. 2 base attacks, or just making decisions to come and kill you. You have to be ready for him to kill you, because whenever he does push, he's going to have the strongest outcome for that moment, no matter what, because he practices it so darn much. Anywho, let's go ahead and get ready for game number 3, and we're going to go ahead and run a commercial. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, so let's go ahead and go away.